auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. Karma Kanda number 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10. To not have complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve this desired success, that is Krishna Prema. And I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Now we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Before moving to the next session, let me know who are all on the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga and to all the assembled devotees. This is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Megha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji.
Sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Yes, Aditi Mataji, you look so cute, so beautiful.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Aditi Devi Dasi from Canada. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your services and thank you so much for joining the call. You look so divine, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi. Okay, Krishna Kumari Mataji.
No, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji. That एक बात कीजिए गुरु महाराज के लिए. This is Shyama Gauri Devidas from Children.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your services. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Priti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Charlotte from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Charu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
I
Mataji.
once. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. So now we will be moving on to our next session. I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. We will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace Sureswar Shyam Prabhu ji. So before moving to the session, I would like to hand over the call to Vinita Dandavika Mataji to give brief introduction about Sureswar Shyam Prabhu ji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, I'm feeling so fortunate to introduce our dear coordinator, Sureswar Shyam Prabhu. He is Sureswar Shyam Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. He conducts Bhakti Vriksha in Charlotte and does book distribution. He started many reading programs and Bhagavad Gita classes in Charlotte. His Grace Sureswar Shyam Prabhu is a board member of ISKCON Charlotte and in charge of all finances. He manages book purchase and distribution in Charlotte. He is very enthusiastic and humble worker, always taking the lead in organizing Bhakti events in Charlotte. It is impossible to have a Bhakti event in Charlotte with the initial preparation and plan by His Grace Sureswar Shyam Prabhu. He visits G-Land, Florida ashrama regularly and is working hard to fulfill the vision of his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And as we all know that Sureswar Shyam Prabhu is always serving Bhakti Sangha very nicely, and every weekend we see him introducing all the speakers. I'm very, very fortunate today I'm introducing him. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandavika Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a brief introduction about Sureswar Shyam Prabhuji. Yes, we are really very fortunate to have you on the call, Prabhuji. It's we always relish your interesting questions. I really don't know how your thinking is really different, and means you ask interesting questions which make us also to learn. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for serving Bhakti Sangha, and thank you for all your services. Over to you, Prabhuji, and I welcome you on the call and to give the Bhagavatam class. Today the words will be from Canto 6, Chapter 4 and text 8. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. And yeah, I've been joining regularly, and it has been very enriching to hear from so many speakers regularly on Srimad Bhagavatam. And can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
So it's all a lot of hard work from many of us to make this happen, and especially from Shamagori Mataji to line up so many speakers every day. And it is very important to hear from many speakers because we have many diverse background, and each aspect can be explained very nicely from many devotees. So today we will start with Canto 6, Chapter 4, 8 verse. And because it being Kartik month and Bhishma Panchak, we will see from Canto 1, Chapter 9, a few aspects about Bhishma Dev. So with that, we'll get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll share my screen. We'll go to Chapter 4. Okay, here. And yesterday being Ekadashi and Bhishma Panchak, I was thinking, what to present this, Sanatan Dharma Prabhu was saying, we have to do some homework when the purport is short, right? I was thinking what to speak, how to, use the time effectively so that we can intensify our thinking for the Supreme Lord. So with that, we'll get started with this verse of fourth chapter, which is the Hamsa Guya prayers, which comes in the later part of this chapter. Before that, a brief introduction is given about what's coming out in the chapter and who is Daksha, how he was reborn, right? That part, will come in the later part of this chapter. Okay, so with that, we'll get started with this verse. Aho Prajapati Patir, Aho Prajapati Patir, Bhagavan Hari Avyayaha, Vanaspatim Oshadischa, Vanaspatim Oshadischa, Sasar Jorjam Isham Vibuhu, Sasar Jorjam Isham Vibuhu. Synonyms: Aho, alas, Prajapati Patihi, the Lord of all the lords of created beings. Bhagavan Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Avyayaha, indestructible. Vanaspatin, the trees and plants. Oshadihi, the herbs. Cha, and. Sasraja, created. Urjvam, invigorating. Isham, food. Vibhuhu, the Supreme Being. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, is the master of all living entities, including all the Prajapatis, such as Lord Brahma. Because he is the all-pervading and indestructible master, he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. Purport: Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, reminded the Prajapatis that this vegetation has been created by the Lord of the Lords to provide food for everyone. If the Prajapatis tried to kill them off, their own subjects would also suffer, for the trees are also required for food. So we'll start with prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurul Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining, and thank you Samagori Mataji for giving me this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 4, Verse 8. So here we see that just we will go verse by verse and come to this 8th verse again. But we have seen that Parikshit Maharaj has asked a question about Visarga, right? And now he's giving Sukadeva Goswami is explaining about Prachetas and how they have meditated in the water for quite a considerable amount of time. And now when they have come out of the water, they see the unwanted creepers and plants have grown all over. And just so now the Kshatriyas have the tendency, the swabhava to protect, right, and give proper guidance to the society. In that mood, they were trying to burn and overburn whatever the trees have overgrown. And the moon god, who is the predominating deity of the moon planet and of the complete ecosystem of trees, plants, herbs, everything, he has now come into service that the Prachetas are like overdoing or overburning the vegetation. So now he's coming, he's saying, Aho Prajapatir Patir. Aho, he's now in little bit panic, and he's invoking the Supreme Lord, Prajapati Patir. So we know Prajapati is like, we can say Brahma, or we use like the word very often for Daksha Prajapati. So the moon god is saying Prajapati Pati Patir. right? So here Prabhupada nicely translate. We have to read this few times. Then it will make sense. The Lord of all the lords of created beings. So he's calling to the Supreme Lord, Prajapati Patir, right? Who is the controller of all the Prajapatis. And the Prajapatis are the, we can say, they are the manifestation of the population also. So he is invoking the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan Hari Avyayaha. Bhagavan Hari. We know Bhagavan from the Bhagavad Gita word, who possesses the 6 opulences. Hari, the Supreme Lord. Avyayaha, who is inexhaustible, right? Or indestructible. That's what we always see in Bhagavad Gita also. Avyayaha means indestructible or inexhaustible. So here, Soma, the moon god, is saying, how Prajapatir Patir Bhagavan Hari Avyayaha. So this Bhagavan Hari, who is indestructible, has created. What he has created? Here we see this word in this chapter, Sasarja, Sasarjo or Sasarja. Yeah, here if you see Sasarja is being created. Right? What Lord Hari has created? He has created Vanaspatin Oshadischa. Vanaspatim or Vanaspatim is these all here Prabhupada is translating as trees and plants. Oshadis is Prabhupada is translating as the herbs. So here, who the Supreme Lord, who is addressed here as Prajapatir or Bhagavan, Hari or Avyayaha, who is indestructible, all these with all these attributes, he is being addressed. And what does that Supreme Lord do? He has created this Vanaspatin Oshadamscha. That's what here he's saying. And how these are useful for human beings, right? How these trees, plants, and herbs are useful that are created to the Lord is 2 ways it is described here. Urjvam and Vibhu. Urjvam and Isham. Urjvam, Prabhupada is translating as invigorating. And Isham is translated as food. So this, if you see these plants and food, right, we get all our food from the plants, right? Plants, it is categorized in 3 ways: trees, plants, and herbs, right? We get it. If you say we get it from it only, and maybe it is distributed through Walmart, Target, Publix, or even the cows are eating the grass and they are giving the milk. So indirectly, the milk is being given by the cows through these vegetation. And this vegetation, it gives, what does it give? It invigorates. And invigorates, if you see, it is giving this energy to us, to the living beings. Right? That's what is being quantified by Soma, the Devata Soma, that the Supreme Lord has created these Vanaspati Moshadas for the benefit of human society, right? Vibhuhu, O Supreme Being. Now, if we see so one thing we'll see is this the Sanskrit sloka, which is the verses, right? They are different when we see the translation. The paraphrasing will be different because of Sanskrit grammar and all that. I exactly don't know that Vyakarana, but when we see Prabhupada's translation, it will flow. But whereas when we see Sanskrit slokas, the words are organized here and there. So that's what we will see a little bit now. When we read the translation again, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, that's what we have seen. Bhagavan Hari, that's what we have seen, is the master of all living entities. Prajapatir Patihi, that's what we have seen, the master of all living entities. Prajapatir Patihi, including all the Prajapatis such as Lord Brahma. So here Prabhupada is adding this extra translation or understanding so that we exactly know that Prajapatir Pati is being referred to the Supreme Lord. Because if you see, Prajapatir Pati could refer to Brahma also, because Brahma also is the Pati of Prajapatis. But if you see, the context where Sukadev Goswami is addressing, then it is going Bhagavan Hari Avyayaha. So that's how we can say the context and the content are both important, right? So to decipher what the context is very important. This is what statement I heard from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So the context and content are both very important. So that's how we could decipher. And this is a general term. It could be used for Lord Brahma or Prajapati Daksha also. So we see this word Bhagavan is used for Sukadeva Goswami also when we see in the beginning of these verses, right? So depending on the context, we can say that's what Prabhupada is translating, is giving this extra information that how we can relate the Prajapati. Pati means the Supreme Lord, right? He's the master of all living entities, including the Prajapati, such as Lord Brahma, because he is all-pervading and indestructible. So we have seen that Avyayam, Avyayaha is indestructible. And all-pervading, where is that indicated in these verses? We can say Vibhuhu, the Supreme Being, who is all-pervading, who is present everywhere, who enters into every non-living aspect also, right? So that's what. He is the all-pervading and indestructible master. And he has created all these trees and vegetables. So Sasraja created, right? And this, so if we see Urjvam is not being directly referred in the translation. Here he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. So Prabhupada has given just as eatables. So we have to see, everything holistically, all the verse, the word-to-word meaning and translation, so that we'll get a comprehensive understanding, right? Invigorating, if you see, so if you just do a Google search, so invigorating, making one feel strong, healthy, and full of energy. So how do we get energy? Through, consuming something, that is food, right? That's what Prabhupada is indicating indirectly, that invigorating means which gives us energy, right? So we may get energy from different ways, like the example in Google you were saying, I feel invigorating, I take a short walk, right? Through walk, we get, our heart rate pumps up and we get, energy, enthusiastic. So here we get the energy to move, to perform our bodily activities through the byproducts of these vegetables. So that's why he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. And here, if you see, the aspect of other living entities also is not mentioned in this verse, right? The aspect of other living entities is not mentioned directly, but if you see, it is mentioned through this word, Prajapati Pathir, right? He is the Lord of all beings, right? He is the Lord of all lords, like that. So indirectly is mentioned, but if you see in the context of where we are, so in the previous verse, right, it is mentioned about how this vegetation is very useful for people in the prajas, that the prachetas will be ruling. So that's why Prabhupada is translating and connecting in a holistic way so that we can understand. And now purport also, we see that Soma, the predominating deity of moon, reminded the prachetas that this vegetation has been created by the Lord of Lords to provide food for everyone. Right? Prabhupada is reiterating that aspect, what is given in the translation. If the prachetas tried to kill them off, their own subjects would also suffer. For trees are also required for food. So Soma, the moon god, wanted to remind prachetas that this vegetation is also very useful. But when it is overgrown, there may not be scope for agriculture. So he is giving them that indication, and he is also in panic that they have emanated so much wind and smoke that it may kill all the trees, right? So he's trying to pacify them so that they can control and take back. So what happens is, we see the prachetas, they have done tapasya, austerity, for a long time. But we see at the same time, the devotees don't get angry. right? But here we see that contradictory thing happening. Here prachetas are, when the vegetation has overgrown, they become very angry, right? And using the bhala, the austeritic strength that they have attained from performing austerity for so long, they have, emanated so much wind and fire, that it is destroying the vegetation a lot. But what happens is, one thing we have to see is, in the later part we will see, but the difference is, like if you say Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, they may not listen to higher authorities. But here we see that the prachetas do listen to the higher authority. Here it is the moon god. So that will be the difference. They might have gotten angry for a right purpose, and their anger may be overdoing, killing of plants, but the devotee is willing to listen to higher authority so that it is beneficial for everyone. So this is what we are seeing in this verse. And a brief connection between, fifth canto and sixth canto is, we have seen in the fifth canto the universal structure, the horizontal structure of the universe, and the vertical structure of the universe, the 14 planetary system, right? And then at the end of the fifth canto, Sukadeva Goswami has described about the hellish planets, how human beings suffer in the hellish planets. And now, as a segue, as a compassionate devotee, Parikshit asks, how these beings can be saved, right? And the prelude we see here in the sixth canto, which is Poshanam, right? Each canto is predominantly presenting many topics, but there is one predominating topic, which is Poshanam here, right? So Poshanam will be described. We saw already with the Ajamil pastime how Ajamil was protected, even unknowingly, when he chanted, when he called his son Narayana, right? With these 4 syllables, Vishnu Dutas came and he was given a second chance. So we see the Poshanam aspect, the protection of the Supreme Lord. And then in this canto, we will be seeing that constant topic of Poshanam, but at the same time with the prelude of, or with the mix of Visarga, the secondary creation by the empowered personalities, of the Supreme Lord, like Lord Brahma, or here we see from Prajapati Daksha, how he populates the universe with different beings. So here Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, he is again coming back to the topic of creation. Creation, it could be, Sarga or Visarga. Sarga is, created by the Supreme Lord, that we clearly see from Brahma himself in the second canto, right? And Visarga is one of the creative aspects of Brahma and his descendants. So Sarga happens, like we can say, before the birth of Lord Brahma himself, or beginning of the day of Brahma. And Visarga is happening every day of Brahma. Is Visarga, the creation, because the Pralaya happens, and Brahma also in the night, he goes back to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So the creation again happens, and this Visarga aspect is happening during every day of Lord Brahma, right? So that is the context, the transition from fifth canto to sixth canto, Poshanam, with the mix of Visarga, with the mix of creation. So we'll just review a few verses, what we have been doing here in this canto. So here we'll come back and read. Prabhupada ji writes a nice summary for this chapter. And I was just looking into the context. When did Prabhupada translate sixth canto? So I was just trying to look in. Prabhupada translated sixth canto in 1975. Right? We know he translated the first canto when he was in India, and then he translated the sixth canto when he was in 1975. And we can see before he left the planet in 77, right? He translated another 4 cantos, right? So, or we can say another partial of 10th canto and another few cantos. So that's where we see from Prabhupada's perspective, his translation work. Right? Now, from Ajamil pastime, why are we discussing Visarga? Right? So always we can see it depends on what Parikshit Maharaj is requesting Sukadeva Goswami to speak. Right? So that will be our central nerve. Where are we in Bhagavatam? We can hold the compass and see what did Parikshit ask. But Parikshit might have asked the question in one canto and the description may be going on in few cantos. So we may be lost. So that's why we may always better to have a bird's eye view. Like you can read Bhagavat Pravaha, right? It gives a bird's eye view and it connects all the aspects, even if it is going, because we don't read in short period of time. We read, over a long period of time and we'll get lost where we are, what is the connection happening. So it's better to read always a summary of what is going on. So that way we will have good context. So here, after the Ajamil episode has ended, so Parikshit Maharaj is asking a question, right? We will see here. So he's saying, Sri Raja Uvacha Deva Sura Nirnam Sargo Naganam Mrugapakshinam Sama Sikastvayo Prokto Yastu Swayambhu Antare Tasyaiva Vyasam Ichchami Jnatum Te Bhagavan Yatha Anusargam Yaya Shaktya Sasarjya Bhagavan Paraha. So here, Sri Raja Vacha, who Parikshit Maharaj is asking about, he's saying, first thing he's saying, he is confirming something, right? Oh, Sukadeva Goswami, you have explained Sama Sikas. So if you see the Sama Sika, the translation, Prabhupada translate it as briefly. So, and then he gives in somewhere in the context, in translation or somewhere, yeah, here he says, right? Where is it? You have spoken about this creation briefly in a summary in the third canto. Right? That's what we have seen. He's saying here, Samasena, this word comes in Bhagavad Gita also. Please briefly explain to me, because on the battlefield, they don't have time, right? They did not have time. Arjuna has to request to explain briefly to the Supreme Lord. Right? Here we see that Sukadeva Goswami has explained about the creation aspect. So again, here we have to take Sarga means the primary creation, Visarga means secondary creation. But here in the context, we see the Sarga, the creation of Devas, Asuras, human beings, Niranam, right? Naganam, Mruga, Pakshinam, these are all secondary creation. This doesn't come under primary creation. Primary creation is where the universes are emanating from Mahavishnu, and then that universe is seen by Mahavishnu. His glance impregnates, few things like the Kala Shakti, the modes of material nature, the Jivas, their Swabhavas, right? So that's then that Brahmanda is there for thousands of years, right? Then it becomes from Pradhan to Mahatattva, right? That's when the transition happens. That is all Sarga, where the different sense elements, the devatas for the sense elements are created, the tanmatras, the subtle elements, right? So all those are created. That is Sarga. But here, if you see Sarga also will be translated as here as the creation, right? The creation of what we have to see. We are not talking about the core ingredients, right? When Prabhuji was explaining, to cook something, you need the raw material, right? So the creation of the raw material is called Sarga, right? Visarga is using those raw materials and creating further. That is Visarga. But these words sometimes are used interchangeable, are used in interchanging way. So that's why we have to here see as Visarga is being, we should see it as a secondary creation, because we are talking about the other living entities in the material creation. And here Parikshit Maharaj is saying, you have explained in brief about the different living entities. He is saying here almost the 5 or 6 living entities that are described. So he is saying, Tasya eva vyasam ichchami. Vyasam here is opposite of samasika. Samasika is in brief. Vyasam is, if you see the translation, it is in detail account. Right? I have heard in brief. Please explain to me in detail about the secondary creation. So he's saying, Tasya eva vyasam ichchami. Ichchami, we know that's a easy to understand word. It is my desire. I would like to know. I wish to know. Jnatvam te Bhagavan yataha. So here Bhagavan is referring to Sukadeva Goswami. So, oh Bhagavan, I would like to know, in detail, the secondary creation of the Supreme Lord, right here, Bhagavan Paraha, the Supreme Lord, how he has created through his Shaktis. Again, Sasraja, right here, creation. There also we saw, where in the 8th verse we saw, why the Lord created Sasraja, created the vegetation. Here, creation about other living beings. That's what other living entities in the planetary system, we can say, right? So he would like to know, Ichchami, Vyasam Ichchami, Jnatum te Bhagavan yataha anusargam yaya shaktiya sasarja Bhagavan paraha. So I would like to know the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Using which the subsequent creation has been done in Swayambhuva Manumantara, right? So in the period of Swayambhuva Manu. So that is the question by Parikshit Maharaj. So now question is very clear. I would like to know, so we will read the translation, then it will be able to understand. The blessed king said to Sukadeva Goswami, my dear king, the demigods, my dear Lord, that's what we said, right? Sukadeva Goswami is addressed here as Bhagavan also. Right? The demigods, the demons, human beings, nagas, beasts, and birds were created during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. You have spoken about this creation briefly in the 3rd canto. Right? So we see in 2nd canto, the Sarga happens. In 3rd canto, we see about Swayambhuva Manu and his daughter Devahuti, right? And in 4th canto, Swayambhuva Manu has, let me show you that one chart that I took from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, from his class. So this is what we have seen, right? Transitioning from 5th canto to 6th canto. How may the humanity be saved from entering hell? So that's what how Ajamil's episode related, right? So now we will see, and we saw that in Bhagavatam there are 10 topics covered, right? 10 topics of Bhagavatam are covered. Right? These are the 10 topics, and here in 6th canto we are seeing Poshanam, and in the 5th canto we have seen Sthanam, the position of the geography of the universe, because we'll know where the different living entities are located. So here this is how it's flowing, Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Puti, Manvantara, Ishanukata, Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya, right? So that's the last one. Let me put this up. So that is the last one, Ashrayaha. So taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking sequentially so many questions, so that he is already a great personality, but for us to take in a systematic way, so that we understand the greatness of the Lord, and so that when we understand the greatness of the Lord, we easily understand the sweetness of the Supreme Lord also. That's what is happening. And now we will see, I wanted to show this 73. Yeah, here, Sarga and Visarga. There are 6 types of Sarga, and we see 3 types of Visarga, right? Like Sarga, like I said, Mahatattva, right? When the universal element is happening, the Tanmatras, the Indriyas, the Devatas who control these Indriyas, all those are created. And in Sarga, like we are seeing here, right? Exactly what Parikshit Maharaj asked, the immovable jivas, like we are seeing in this topic, how the vegetation is created, the lower species, human beings, and separate section, mixed creation, the demigods. So total of 10 creation aspects, 6 sarga and 3 visarga, and then we see the mixed creation. Right? That's what we are seeing. And then I will go to one more slide and then go back. Yeah, here, this is what I want to show, that we see Swayambhu Manu had 3 daughters, Devahuti, Akuti, and Prasuti, and 2 sons, Uttanapad and Priyavrata Maharaj. So we have seen Uttanapad's dynasty, see Dhruva, Kritu, Prachina Barishat, and Prachetas. So this is where where it ended in 4th canto. And now we are coming back in 6th canto after 5th canto, and then starting this topic of Prachetas again. So brief summary of Prachetas is given, and then about the second birth of Daksha is given. So the Parikshit Maharaj, he may ask many sub questions in between, right? He may take a detour, but again is coming back to that sequence of 10 topics in Bhagavatam. So detour for a break or to clarify some question, right? And then he's coming back. So here we have seen this, in 3rd canto, we see that Devahuti, and they get Devahuti, Kardama Muni, they get 9 daughters and 1 Kapila Dev, right? That's why TLK is teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, right? So this is a summary of the sarga, the visarga, sarga aspect, right? The secondary creation aspect that has happened, right, in the previous cantos. So we are coming back again to the visarga, the secondary creation by after Prachetas what happened, and Daksha what happened, right? That's what we are there, right? So now I wish to know about it elaborately. So that's what we have seen, Vyasam, right, elaborately. I also wish to know about the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which he brought about the secondary creation. Now the secondary creation is not done independently of the Lord. Secondary creation is done by the potency of the Lord. That's why he's saying here clearly, Anusargam yaya shaktiya, right? Shaktiya sasrija bhagavan paraha. Through, it is done through, can say Brahma or Prajapatis, but always it is the potency or Shakti of the Lord. So we see in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam that Brahmaji, once he manifests from the lotus stem, he hears tapa tapa, right? Tapo tapo, right? Then he meditates on those. Then the Lord appears. Then the Lord gives him that potency to do the further creation. So that's what we are seeing. So it is always there, the Shakti of the Supreme Lord, right? So we will see one in few things when we go back to the 8th verse again, right? So now it is clear that Parikshit Maharaj has asked to explain the secondary creation in detail, right? That's what is happening. Now, so with this question, Sukadeva Goswami becomes happy, right? So how to represent that happiness? Because now we can't see the expression of Sukadeva Goswami, right? But how do we know certain things that are happening on the ground, right? We know through Suta Goswami, because he is now being, Vasudev is representing the expression of Sukadeva Goswami through Suta Goswami. Because he was there, he could see that practical aspect, like Amrendra Prabhu was in Charlotte last weekend. So if you attend his class online and you attend his class in person, it is 10 million times different. 10 million times different. We have to attend in person, right? Because I have seen, right? I was there attending in person. It is very vibrating. It's all our senses are attracted. But when we attend in Zoom, it's okay. We are getting a lot, but in person is very invigorating. Like Prabhupada was using, right? Invigorating, right? It is very enthusiastic. So here Suta Goswami is representing the mood of now Sukadeva Goswami. He's saying, Shri Suta Uvacha iti samprashnam akarnya Rajarishir Badarainaha Pratinindya Mahayogi Jagada Muni Sattamaha Iti Samprashna Akarnya. Right? So Samprashna, having heard that Akarnya, that question from who? Rajarishir, from Parikshit Maharaj. Having heard that question from Parikshit Maharaj, Badarayanaha, he became, I will show the word to word meaning, so it will be easy. This Badarayanaha, we know, it's Sukadeva Goswami. He gets this name from his father, right? How did he react? Pratinindya. He became very happy. He was, you can say, he was prizing that question, or he was feeling jubilated, right? Because now here in that question, it was there, the secondary creation, but the secondary creation was happening through the Shakti of the Supreme Lord himself. So it is reminding them of the Supreme Lord. And it is reminding Parikshit Maharaj also about the Supreme Lord. So he became very happy. Who? The Mahayogi became very happy. So Sukadeva Goswami is addressed here two ways, as Badarayanaha and Mahayogi. And so he's addressing this to the great sages, Muni Sattamaha. He's addressing to the great sages in Naimisharanya. Right? Then what happened? Sukadeva Goswami started replying. So here Suta Goswami said, "Oh great sages, assembled at Naimisharanya, after the great yogi Sukadeva Goswami heard King Parikshit inquiry, he praised it and thus replied." So that's what we are seeing here. And now quickly we see, right, the question is asked, how Sukadeva Goswami felt about that question, and immediately it is starting. So these first 10 verses are very fast, right? And because it want to giving a summary, because it was already discussed about prachetas. So here we see Sri Sukha Uvacha Yada Pracheta Saha Putra Dasha Prachina Barishaha Ataha Samudrad Unmagna Dadrushur Gama Durmairutam. So I'll show word to word, it will be easy. So here Sukadeva Goswami replied, Yada Prachetas, we know Prachetas Putra, whose Putra they are? Prachini Barishaha. How many they are? Dasha, they are 10. So what did they do? Antaha Samudrad Unmagna. So they went, when in 4th canto, they went into the river or ocean, we can say, right? So now they are coming back, right? Unmagna, emerged from Antaha Samudra, from the depth of the ocean. And what did they see? They saw Dadrushur, they saw Gam, Drumair Vrutam. Gam is this entire place, or this entire planet, this entire universe was covered with Drumair Vrutam, with the trees. Vratam is covered, Drumair is trees. So the Prachetas, when they came out of the 10 Prachetas, the sons of Prachini Barhi, when they came out of their austerities from the depth of the ocean or the river, they saw this entire planet was covered, Gam, right? Gam, the entire planet was covered with trees. And now what did they do? We will see in the next. So here we'll quickly read the translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, when the 10 sons of Prachina Barhi emerged from the waters in which they were performing austerities, they saw that the entire surface of the world was covered by trees. That's what we have seen, entire surface. They saw Da Drushur, Gam, Drumair, Vrutam. Right? Drumair is trees, Vrutam is covered, Gam is entire. So now what did they do? We will see in 5th verse. Drumebhyaha Krudyamanaste. Drumebhya, we have seen they are the trees. Tapo Deepa Manyaha. Right? Mukto Vayum Agnim Cha Sisrujas Tat Didikshaya. So what did they do? When they saw this Druvya, what is this? Drubhyas, these trees, they became very Krudyamanaste. They became very angry. Right? And their anger was intensified also because they were Tapo Deepita Manyaha. Right? Prabhupada writes in the purport also. Right? So here if you see Tapo Deepita Manyaha, whose anger was influenced because of long austerities. So their anger was intensified because they are performed tapo deepita manyaha. They performed long austerities. So what did they do? Mukto, from their mouth they have emanated vayum and agni. Emanated, or here it is saying they have created sasrujas. This word we are always seeing in these words. This drume and sasruju, we are seeing drume is tree, sasruju is created. So Parikshit Maharaj is also asking how the secondary part was created. And in the 8th verse, we saw this vegetation was created for as a nourishment to the human society. So they emanated fire and vayu from their mouth, and it was intense because of their tapa deepita manyaha, because of their severe austerities that they have performed. So here we see, because of having undergone long austerities in the water, the prachetas were very angry at the trees, desiring to burn them to ashes. They generated wind and fire from their mouths. That's what we are seeing. And that was intensified because of tapa deepita manyaha, because of their austerities. And now moving on, so next few verses 6 and 7, so I will just read the translation. Now, because this fire is emanating now, and lot of vegetation is being burnt, and we saw the moon god is the caretaker of this vegetation, is the predominating deity of moon, and the moon gives nourishment to this vegetation, right? So what does the Supreme Lord give us? This is one beautiful thing, one we will read from Bhagavad Gita. It is very evident about moon and nourishment. My dear King Parikshit, when Soma, the king of the trees and predominating deity of the moon, saw the fire and wind burning all the trees, he felt great sympathy because he is the maintainer of all herbs and trees. To appease the anger of Prachetas, Soma spoke. So to please them, or to control them, right? Control is a bad word, but to give them proper information, right? Why the Supreme Lord has created this vegetation. So maybe we can do other things to get rid of this. So please protect this vegetation. That's what the moon god is requesting the Prachetas. So we will see in the yesterday we have seen this verse where it is quantifying here these trees and vegetation. Dhrume byaha is used by the prajas, and the prajas are to be protected by the kings, right, who are the prachetas. Oh, greatly fortunate one, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish the citizens, prajas, all prosperity and to act as their protectors, right? So it's just reminding them, and sometimes it's a reminder for us also what we are doing, where we are, what is happening, right? So when we read these kind of things, when like even we see Bhishma Dev says Arjuna was put into so-called illusion, so-called ignorance, right? That gave out Bhagavad Gita for us, right? So here when the great devotees, like we see Dhruva Maharaj also becoming angry, right? So when his brother was killed, like that, they may be anger, but their anger gives us a good prosperous things. But when a non-devotees become angry, it doesn't produce any good result, right? And like I mentioned before, these prachetas, because they have performed, they are pure devotees, they have performed great austerity onto Vishnu, they got the darshan of the Supreme Lord, right? So they may get angry for a right purpose. And Prabhupada writes, actually I was wanted to read that, but Prabhupada writes, everything has a place, right? Everything has a place, and the devotees will be empowered to use in the right way. It could be anger or it could be anything, right? So that's what we are seeing now. The Soma, the moon god, is reminding, and now he's again we saying aho, he's in panic or surprise attitude. Aho prajapatir patir bhagavan hari avyayaha vanaspatim oshadischa sasrujam isham vibuhu. So this verse we have seen. So how this vegetation is useful for the prajas. It gives the urjvam and isham, right? It invigorates and it acts as a food for the population. So if you see 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, So the Lord writes in the last part, right? Here it is saying, Supreme Lord writes it here. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Right? We see here like how we are dependent on the Supreme Lord. People may say, I'm working by my own effort, but our own effort plus the mercy of the Lord is being always there. So the one reason why we have to be grateful to the Supreme Lord. Without his mercy, there cannot be sun. Without his mercy, there cannot be moon. And without his mercy, there cannot be fire. And without help of sun, moon, and fire, no one can live. Right? These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. So Prabhupada is giving that, highlighting that point, how we are definitely 100% depending on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And here one aspect is where the highlight of the moonshine, how it gives the juice. Prabhupada uses a word, succulent, I think. Let me see here. I forgot where he uses that word. He uses that word, eloquent word, right, to represent how it gives these juices to the fruits. And yesterday I was asking Sanatan Dharma, right, Prabhu, like, how do we prove, like, was it scientifically proven? Like Prabhuji was saying, when they grow something inside and when they grow outside, the taste is different. And when we have to grow inside, we have to artificially give the light. So it is more expensive to grow that way, right? And we are not, green. We can say we are not green. We are wasting power. Then we can grow outside, and the moonlight is provided by the Supreme Lord, right? So that's what we are. And we'll come back to this verse, how I took the explanation from Balram Shakti Prabhu. So he always uses this for, I found this on ISKCON Desire Tree. So this is again a simple explanation about the same verse from a different perspective. I think Prabhuji was using Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining this verse. Like here we clearly see that the verse and when the prose is written, when the translation is written, are completely different. But entire words from the verse are being incorporated. That's what we see. Vibhuhu, that we have seen, the powerful. Bhagavan Hari Avyayaha. Avyayaha, indestructible Supreme Lord. And Prajapati Patihi, right? The master of the progenitors. Sisrija, created. This word, we have been reading in these 8 verses. And what he has created? He has created Vanaspatim and Oshadaha, the trees and grass, right? So why he has created them? For Urjam and Isham, with fruits and grains. Right? This is another simple translation. The powerful, indestructible Supreme Lord, the master of the progenitors, has created the trees and grass with fruits and grains. So this is another example. And here we will see one different aspect, how different acharyas represent it differently. Right? Urjvam refers to eatables other than grain, such as fruits from the trees. Right? Definitely, nobody can disagree this point. Fruits comes from tree, right? So Urjvam refers to eatables that other than grain, such as fruits from the trees, right? Urjvam is representing the byproduct of the trees, like we can say the fruits, the one byproduct of the trees, the fruits. And Isham refers to grain. Urjvam and Isham is referred to grain, like wheat coming from the grasses, right? Oshadihi, right? Like that. So we are seeing 2 things are coming from trees. One is fruits and one is grain, right? That, what does that give? That gives nourishment. That invigorates our body. That's what Prabhupada is translating, right? These 2 words translated differently in Prabhupada's translation, right? Net, the byproduct of these production is, it invigorates, it gives us energy by which we may maintain, we sustain ourselves. So a slightly different translation of the same verse. So here we have another 4 or 5 minutes. So we reviewed from 8th verse, from first verse to 8th verse, and briefly we'll touch base on this. Today's Bhishma Panch, like these 5 days are about Bhishma Panchak, and we will briefly see about Bhishma Dev. Right, he is a supreme. He is, like we have seen in our Ajamil episode. Right, he is the one of the Mahajans. Out of the 12 Mahajans, he is one of the Mahajan. So one question I have is, who is the Ishtadev of Bhishma Dev? Anybody guess who is the Ishtadev of Bhishma?
Krishna.
Parthasarathi.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. Yes, Krishna is general, but he has his Ishtadev, like we can see from Prabhupada's purport. Let me read it. So that was, very, here. The worshipable object of Bhishma Dev is Lord Shri Krishna. So as Parthasarathi, right? Both are right, but his specific form, every one of us have that specific taste, that inclination, our swabhava to serve the Lord in a specific way, right? And here Prabhupada is saying, let me read this again. The worshipable object of Bhishma Dev is Lord Shri Krishna as Parthasarathi. And that of Gopis is same Krishna in Vrindavan as the most attractive Shyam Sundara. So here Prabhupada is always, contrasting, highlighting, right? So same Krishna is represented as Parthasarathi and Shyam Sundara, right? So that's what his Ishtadev is, Parthasarathi. So he's relishing Sri Krishna, I think for 8 days he was there, and the last day also he was relishing the Parthasarathi form of the Krishna to full extent, right? That is his Ishtadev. What else he wants, right? That's what he was relishing. And one more aspect, if I go down, one more aspect I would like to read. Prabhupada is nicely presenting here, right? So Krishna is present in, like I will read, Krishna is both Brahma Jyoti and localized Paramatma also, right? But in Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna. So here it is saying there is Krishna, is both. Krishna is both Brahma Jyoti and localized Paramatma. But in Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna or sweetness relations with Krishna. So that is what is not there. In Brahma Jyoti or localized Paramatma, that relationship, the sweetness aspect, the reciprocal aspect is not there. So that is the big difference in Brahma Jyoti, right? That Brahmananda, when we see it was compared in Chaitanya Charitamrita, like just like the Ananda experienced when somebody goes to Brahma Jyoti, there is immense enjoyment, immense Ananda that is compared like a calf's hoof print. And the reciprocation in enjoyment, the sweetness that we get from having this personal association like Bhishma Dev is having in the Parthasarathi form is immense. Like, that's what difference between, that's why we have Paramatma in our heart, but again they may say the Lord will manifest in our heart, right? So Paramatma aspect, the Lord is already there. But when it is said that the Lord again manifests in our heart, is manifesting in the specific form to reciprocate in that form. That's from general to specific is happening. So I will further read. In his personal future, Krishna is both Parthasarathi and Samsundara of Vrindavan. But is in impersonal future, he is neither in Brahma Jyoti nor in Paramatma. We know how is there, but is not there. That is the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Lord. Yet he is there, he is not there in a personal reciprocatory way. Great Mahatmas like Bhishma Dev realizes all these different futures of Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore they worship Lord Krishna, knowing him as the origin of all futures, right? So they don't discriminate between Brahma Jyoti, Paramatma, or different aspects of the Lord, but they are highly attracted to the Parthasarathi form. I'll just show that picture of Bhishma Dev lying on the bed of arrows. Sorry, this, here, Bhishma Dev like this. Yesterday was Ekadashi and start of Bhishma Panchak. Right? Bhishma Dev, if you see who created this condition to Bhishma Dev, right? It was Arjuna, right? He threw so many arrows, and Bhishma Dev is, in bed of arrows. And when an arrow is piercing through the body, it is so painful. And he's having, I don't know how many, right? To such a personality, to lie on the arrows, there should be not an inch of space in the body. So having so many arrows. And what does Bhishma Dev? Is he upset with Krishna and Arjuna?
No.
Right? So this is again inconceivable aspect of the Lord. Bhishma Dev is reciprocating in what is that? In Dasya Bhav, which is chivalrous, in the fighting attitude, right? So that's what he is giving, that challenging, and he's giving intense pleasure to the Lord, and he's getting intense pleasure. Like the next picture, if we see here, so he's enjoying, here so many things are said in this picture, right? Krishna is breaking his promise, and he's keeping the promise of Bhishma Dev, right? He's saying, come kill me, right? So, and then here Bhishma Dev, he writes he's this in 1.9 in first canto, 9th chapter, 32 to 42, we see this verse where Bhishma Stuti is described, and this one verse, which is very relatable to the previous picture. So I will just read this and end it here. So it's saying Tribhuvana Kamanam Tamala Varanam Ravikara Gaura Varambaram Dadhane Vapuralaka Kalavritam Vithanabjam Vijaya Sakhe Ratirastu Me Anavadhya. So Bhishma Dev is describing few different aspects. The beauty of the Supreme Lord, right? Tribhuvana Kamanam, right? There's nobody more desirable in these three worlds, Tribhuvana, right? And what is his complexion? Tamala Varanam. He's like bluish tamal tree, right? How is his dress? It is like, the dress is, we can say two ways. Ravikara Gaura Vara Ambaram. His dress is Gaura, yellow, and with the rays of the sun, it is shining. Right? That's what his dress. And how is he looking like? Vapu, his body is decorated with nice decorations, and it is looking like a ambuja, right? He's looking like a lotus flower. And how is he addressing Krishna? He's addressing Arjuna. This is interesting. Vijaya Sakhe Rati Rastu Me. Right? He's saying, I want this Rati, I want this attraction to Vijaya Sakhe. Who is that Vijaya Sakhe? He indirectly is referring to Arjuna to give multiple meanings. That's what Prabhupada writes, right? So now just to read few points that I have highlighted. Nowhere in the universe there are they such beautiful bodily features as Lord Krishna, right? The beauty of Lord Krishna gives sweetness. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to experience. The beauty of Krishna through his flute or through bodily effulgence, right? It gives immense sweetness. And we get immense joy or happiness, saukyam, when we serve the Lord, right? So that's what we are seeing here is beauty. Arjuna is described here as conqueror, right? Vijaya Sakhe, right? He's described as conqueror of his enemies and the Supreme Lord also, right? He's conquering, and Krishna is described as his intimate friend, right? He is a conqueror of the enemies, and he conquered the love of the Supreme Lord also. That's why he is described as Vijaya Sakhe. So Bhishma Dev on the bed of arrows after the battle of Kurukshetra is remembering the particular dress of Lord Krishna which he put on as the driver of Arjuna's chariot. While fighting was going on between Arjuna and Bhishma, Bhishma Dev's attraction was drawn by the glittering dress of Krishna, and indirectly he admired his so-called enemy Arjuna for possessing the Lord as his friend. Right? So Vijaya Sakhe is addressing the conqueror of enemies, and he has conquered the Supreme Lord also. Arjuna was always a conqueror because the Lord was his friend. Bhishma Dev takes this opportunity to address the Lord as Vijaya Sakhe. And the Lord also, and here Prabhupada is saying, and the Lord is pleased when he is addressed conjointly with his devotees. So that's why we see many times the Supreme Lord is not addressed independently, he is addressed along with his devotees. So we have touched based on the 8 verses of the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6. And because being it Bhishma Panchak, we briefly touched on the Ishtadev of Bhishma Dev, which is Parthasarathi form, which is always releasing in his bed of arrows. Also, he is able to offer this stuti, these prayers to the Supreme Lord, and he was remembering all the incidents that have happened in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So thank you all for this opportunity and conducting these classes on a regular basis so that we are benefiting by hearing regularly. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So back to you, Mataji, if there are comments or any questions. Otherwise, we can start our next episode.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class. I don't have any question, but there are some raised hands. I would like to ask Priti Vilasti Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I have been waiting for your class, honestly. So I really enjoy the way you analyze Srimad Bhagavatam and the way you relish Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you so much for coming on the call and giving this class. Prabhu, I have 3 questions. The first question is about so atra sargo visargascha sthanam poshanam utayaha, right? So when we talk about uti, in the word to word, it's called as creative impetus, and then we attribute it to the. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just blurting it out. If there's anything wrong, please feel free to correct. Uti is, I think, I don't remember, but somewhere in the translation it says creative impetus, and then it is attributed to 7th canto, right? But Uti means actually good and bad inclinations. Is that the same? I mean, what is creative impetus? We never understood the meaning of it. So that is why I'm asking the question. What is the meaning of creative impetus?
So I don't know directly, but yes, Utayaha is translated as creative impetus.
What is the Prabhu? Because I saw your chart, which is probably more clear to me. That is good and bad inclinations, like nice and, because Hiranyakashipu and Prahalad, right? Contrast, maybe that's what it is.
Yes, Mataji. So what's happening is, means if you see from Prahalad also, the creative aspect is moving on, right? The Visarga aspect is moving on, right? Through their inclination, through his inclination to the Supreme Lord. So that's it. I can understand, Mataji. But I think in later on, these verses, each one is explained in detail, Mataji. Once Balram Shakti Prabhu was explaining, right? So this word has many different meanings, but I don't know exactly where it comes, but it comes here somewhere about more details about Uti.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah. So basically, for our understanding, we take it as positive and negative characteristics or inclination, which carries out further creation. Something like it's an impetus to continue in this world. Something like.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay. So, Prabhu, and then in the same lines, what is Canto 4, Prabhu? Is it like considered to be under Sarga or Visarga, or what is it under?
Canto 4. Yeah, here Canto 4 is it's we know Sthanam is the 5th canto. Canto 4 we can give it as Visarga, Mataji, where we see the dynasty of Uttanapad, right? Is being progression of Uttanapad, Dhruva, Prutu, Prachini, Barhi, like that. So these are main topic, but there are many subtopics in it. So it's Visarga is given in 4th canto, subsequent creation by Brahma and Manu.
So both 3rd and 4th is Visarga, correct?
3rd and 4th. Yeah, in 3rd, some part of Sarga is there, and Visarga starts. But in 2nd, we see it's exclusively Sarga, the primary creation of the core material elements. Then, like say, time aspect is described in 3rd canto, right? That will come under, Sarga, the initial creation, but it is explained in detail and then the Visarga, the Visarga aspect of the first daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, Devahuti part comes in third canto. Little bit of Sarga.
And a first canto wouldn't attribute to any of these. It's just like an introduction, or does it also come under Sarga?
First canto is just a prelude.
Prelude
to Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is giving how Parikshit Maharaj was enthroned, right? What happened to him, the context. So Vyasudev is writing in such a way that we get proper context and content before Bhagavatam, which is starting from second canto, is given. This is what I heard, Mataji. And the Gauranga Darshan Prabhu writes in the summary. I would recommend everybody to read that Bhagavatam Avaha, right? He writes.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, the next question I had was about, I don't know if I had like 3-4 questions as you were talking, but I'll try to remember. One of the questions I had was about Bhishma Panchaka itself. So the most commonly asked question, I don't know, I don't have an answer still, so I'm asking, why is Bhishma Panchaka observed before Gita, appearance of Bhagavad Gita, meaning before the Mahabharata war?
Okay, so you are saying Bhishma Panchak is observed before Mahabharata war, right?
Huh.
How do you say when Mahabharata war, Mataji? Like
we observe the appearance of Bhagavad Gita, right? The advent of Bhagavad Gita.
December, right?
Next Ekadashi, right? So
we observe in December, right, Mataji, advent of Bhagavad Gita.
This time it's probably early because everything has moved by 1 month. Yeah. We have
only, right, Mataji? No, Bhagavad Gita is coming in November, later part of November or December. Bhishma Panchak came before, right, Mataji?
Yeah, that is the question. Because if Bhishma is sleeping in the bed of arrows, if that is the connection.
Okay.
Because, or is Bhishma Panchak just a vow? That's all. Meaning Bhishma itself need not, I don't know, I'm speculating honestly, but I just want to get inputs. So Bhishma itself means one who takes great vows, right? That is the meaning of Bhishma. Is it really connected to Bhishma Dev, or it is just a vow?
Which one? The Bhishma Panchak? It is said that he has this Icha Mrityu, right?
So it's connected to Bhishma only then.
Yeah, that's the war. And he's fully satisfied, like Sugriva, right? Who was fully satisfied by the arrow pierced by Lord Ramchandra and then leaving his body. I don't know the timing aspect, Mataji. See, because what the timing aspect of Prachetas also is little difficult to comprehend. Like that day the Prabhuji was saying, right, that 4 manvantras have passed, right? 4.5 manvantras have passed, and Chakshusho manvantara has come. That's when Daksha started creating. So there is like little bit of timing thing. It is little difficult to understand, and try to find, Mataji, from somebody else why Bhishma Panchak is coming before advent of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Can I add?
Yes, Mataji.
So what I have heard is Bhishma Dev was observing this Bhishma Panchak every year. Doesn't mean he observed before he died.
Okay.
He was observing, and it is so hard. Only Bhishma can do that. Anybody else, actually, they eat like 5 types of cow products, right? That's it. That is the real Bhishma Panchak, and only Bhishma Dev can do that.
Yeah, so he's the taker of firm vows. So he was the only like that. Okay, got it, Mataji. Very nice, Mataji.
That's what I heard, Mataji. I just wanted to share.
Yeah. So it really doesn't, I mean, like whether he was in the bed of arrows or not, he was observing it. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you for clarification. And Mataji, the last question is, Prabhuji, this is for you only, Prabhu. Vijaya Sakha, you were mentioning, right? So Vijaya Sakha means the friend of Vijaya, who's Krishna. I don't understand why he's called, I didn't understand why he's called conqueror of enemy. That part I didn't understand, Prabhu.
Yeah, means victory, right, Mataji? So
Like,
in general sense, he has conquered many enemies.
So Krishna is addressed as Vijayasakha, right? So Krishna has meaning.
So you are breaking that into two parts. Just when we discuss just Vijaya, right? What is Arjuna qualities and all, it was mentioned, right? Sakha, when we take those two words together, then it represents Krishna. When you just say who is Vijaya Sakha, Vijaya is who. What does that mean? Who is a Sakha of Arjuna, right? He is Lord Krishna. Bhishma Dev is always seeing from the perspective of Parthasarathi only, right? Because like Krishna was, Sakha of Arjuna, like that, right? Instead of saying Arjuna Sakha, he's saying Vijaya Sakha, so that it is representing much more information.
So meaning Krishna has been conquered by the love.
Yes, that's also one meaning given, Mataji. Yes, in the Prabhupada writes that it is indirectly saying that he has been conquered by the love of the Lord. So he's conquering the Lord by his love. He's conquering the enemies also. So that's why Vijaya is represented in both the sense.
Oh, you mean to say if you just take out Vijaya, Vijaya means a victory or conqueror. Yeah. So Vijaya means he's conquered by the love of Krishna. He's also conquering his enemies, like that.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, okay.
Sakha. Who is that? Krishna.
Interesting. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu.
Read this, Mataji, this verse. 1933. Prabhupada writes, actually, I was thinking why it was saying Vijaya Sakha and why not Arjuna Sakha, right? Then Prabhupada writes in the purport why this word Vijaya was used. Writes.
Okay.
So here, Vijaya Sakha, friend of Arjuna. Is that the Lord was addressed with that name? So
interesting. Thank you, Prabhu. Very, very nice class. Hare Krishna. Thanks for your association.
Okay, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. We have Sukaka Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Sureswar Shyam. Very good class. Fantastic. So nice. After a long time, I'm able to come. Again, I'm going to Mayapur on 12th. Guru Maharaj is called till 19 Jagannath Puri in Mayapur. Initiations are going to happen in Jagannath Puri. So I miss your classes whenever I go there. I feel so sad. Anyway, I see the recordings. So in this Bhishma thing, can I just add one point?
Yes.
Mataji or Guru Maharaj, Prabhuji? Yes. See, actually, when Bhishma came to discuss about the Pandava Kaurava fighting, Bhishma had told who will go this side, that side. So Krishna has told, I'm in no side, I'm not going to fight, he told. So he said, Keshav, I'll surely make you to take the arrow, touch the arrow, he told. And Krishna is a Bhaktavatsala. And Bhishma Devi is actually a Mahajan. So he will do anything for this, the child of Krishna only. So he said, I will surely touch the, because I don't mean breaking my promise, but Name Bhakta Prachadi. But my disciples and devotees' promise will not break, but I will break them. So that is why on that day when the arrows were coming from Krishna, from Bhishma, it was on Arjuna and it pierced Parthasarathis faces. If you go to the temple in Chennai, in the Triplicane, you see that the Krishna's face is full of holes. I asked, what is this? He said, this is the Parthasarathi, real Parthasarathi. And so the Parthasarathi temple is really with so many holes. So Krishna enjoys. So Radhanath Maharaj in one of his lectures he told, it is like two lovers. When they are together, husband wife, they will bite each other's lips. It is as if the arrow of Bhishma is like a lover of Krishna and biting when he's hitting. Actually, Krishna has he's actually a spiritual body. Blood will not come. But just to manifest that he is with the common people, he showed blood is coming and all. So that is one aspect. And then Krishna, when Bhishma on that day, he was very much serious to make Krishna to take the arrow. And he was hitting Arjuna like anything, and Krishna somehow faced all the arrows. But at one point, Arjuna was to be killed. So Krishna just took one wheel, and he's called as, what is that? When you take the wheel, Ratha, Parthasarathi, no, not Parthasarathi. There's one word is there that he's taking the wheel of the child. Rathangapani. Thank you very much. He's bringing Rathangapani and he was going to kill Bhishma. Bhishma says, "Oh, I'm waiting for this movement, Keshav. Please kill me, please kill me." And then Arjuna comes running. "Oh, Krishna, you have promised that you're not going to kill anybody. You're not going to take the any arms and ammunition. You should not do it." So these are all actually all pastimes, Krishna and Bhishma. And another aspect, why Bhishma was on the other side, because Krishna wanted to prove that though he was on the other side, but he had full love for Arjuna and Yudhishthira. So many times you will feel that how he is Namakharam. He is not Namakharam. Krishna arranged in that way. That's in the end. He said, "Keshav, I want you to be there when I'm leaving. I want you to come in the front of me." So Keshav said, "You tell everything to Yudhishthira, what is to be advised, what Vishnu Satsnamam, everything he told about the civilian, what is to be done as a king, everything he did." And then he told, when they came, actually he was with full of pain in the body. But he showed as a devotee. He's telling, "I know you people have suffered so much, no? Right from the time Duryodhana wanted to kill Bhima with the poison, then that house they want to burn you, and Draupadi Vastraharan. I feel so sad. I'm so happy you are like this." So this year Krishna reflected that a devotee will never tell anything about his problem. Our Japatak Maharaj, whenever he comes, he got so much trouble, but he would say, "How can I serve you?" And we ask him, "Guru Maharaj, how is your health?" No, I am okay by Guru Gaurangma's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, I'm okay. So devotees should never go and reflect, "I got back pain, whole body is paining. Yesterday I did full 64 rounds." We should never project. If you do that, then that comes as a false ego in the platform. We should never tell anything wrong for us. We should just keep glorifying Krishna. So like this, so Bhishma Dev was,
I think what you are saying, right, Prabhu, in the purport, Prabhupada writes in the purport of 37th verse 937, he's saying, he takes the wheel, he breaks his own promise, but he keeps the promise of Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev is very happy, he gives up everything and stands there ready to be killed by Krishna. So here in Bhagavatam, we see the heart of Bhishma Dev. In Bharat, we see just the activity of Bhishma Dev. Okay. Yeah, I think.
So Aham Bhakta Paradina and Bhakta Vatsala has been proved in this particular scenario both. And you must listen, Adhanath Maharaj, that lecture, Bhishma, is fantastic. And Bhishma means it's Bhishon, Bengali word also comes. It's such a great vow you took that he didn't want to marry just to make his father marry another lady. So this is the greatest.
Okay, so it's a time of Mataji. So
Bhishma is my hero. I always love him so much that he did so much he suffered. Thank you, Prabhu. You did very good. This chapter was very difficult to explain because nothing to tell. But with the trees and this, you have to keep telling. So you did a very good job. Fantastic. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Thank you so much for putting the topic of Bhishma Dev. By remembering, means we are doing Bhishma Panchak, and remembering Bhishma Dev is very nice. So one question is there, like Subhakar Krishna Prabhu was saying that Bhishma was saying, "Come and kill me." He's asking to Krishna, and Krishna didn't kill him. But at the same time, at his time of death, Krishna came and gave, Krishna came and stood in front of him. So that's what the goal of our life. Krishna has to be there at the time of death. So which one is better, Prabhu? Krishna killing or Krishna is coming in front of us at the time of death?
Coming in front of us. Why should we kill? Kill means you are becoming an enemy, no? It should be only coming in front of us. It should come, we should fall at its feet.
Either way is fine, Mataji, as long as there is Krishna element, right? Vali also, either way should be fine depending.
But this is the best. That is the inimical way. This is the real devotee way. That Krishna should come and we should leave our God.
He might come personally, or it might come through his holy name, or he might come through his devotee, right? Or just we may remember him. Somehow he will come, like for Ajamil, he came in the form of the holy name. So
one devotee is asking Srila Prabhupada that we are 30 years we're chanting, we don't know whether we'll remember Krishna, whether coma will come or anything. Prabhupada says, Ajamila just told once And Narayana came from there, and you are chanting for 30 years. Even if you become coma, Krishna is very worried. How he will remember me? Krishna is waiting. When Shamagori Mataji will tell, when he will remember me, Krishna will come and tell, stand up, please tell Sureswar Prabhu, you will come and stand. So Krishna will come and do the work. We're not worried. We have to just chant. That's all.
Yeah. Please
Krishna
pray
will
for
come.
me. Please pray for me, Prabhu.
Rakshisheti Vishwas. हम लोग को सब भक्ता संगम में सब लोग को back home in this life. Very well.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Very well.
Okay, Mataji. So we can continue with the next part.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa
Yes, kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo
His Grace Sureswar Shyam Prabhu ji ki jai. For such a beautiful class, and all glories to your services. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
so much.
Gauranga, Nityananda. Radhe Radhe. Padma Singh Mataji ki jai ho. Waiting. We enjoy your show, the way you show, like the children are going for some picnic, you show everything. This is there, that
Yeah, our bus is ready to go.
Ready.
Parikrama, and Mataji is ready to guide us on the parikrama way. So thank you very much, Mataji.
I see
We are
that
ready.
our Mama, our
Yeah.
mother is taking us to go for a picnic. Mama, please pass.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, actually, we are coming to an end. Almost we'll be.
Very sad. Very sad.
Today, if we finish, just we'll have one more on Monday, maybe. Tomorrow, Pran Govind Prabhu is giving class, Mataji.
Sunday.
Yes. Then
Yes, Mataji. So we will have on Monday.
Monday, yes.
Maybe Monday or Tuesday or something.
No, Monday. Raval will just take 15 minutes, Mataji.
And Raman Reddy too.
Today we are going Gokul.
Okay.
So, but yesterday we actually, if you remember, from March we have gone to Mansarovar, and from Mansarovar we were supposed to go to Mansarovar. Then we went to Lohavan, and then we will touch Dauji. So when we come to Dauji temple, that means we are in Gokul, because it is one corner of Gokul. So recent memories. Nandapriya Mataji also was with us. We all went to this Dauji temple. Very beautiful experience. Just we will see Madhuvan we have seen first, then Thalavan, then Kumudavan, we have seen Bahulavan, Kamyavan, we have seen Kadhiravan, then first we have seen Vrindavan, the day one. Then now we came to the eastern side, we saw Bhadravan, Bhandirvan, then Gilvan yesterday, Lohavan, and today we will see Mahavan. Yes. So, but before that, as I said, before we go to Nanda Bhavan in Gokul, we will first have the darshan of Dauji. No.
Yeah.
Before Dauji also there is two, I forgot, see. So when we are going to Dauji, there is this temple called Anandi Ma and Bandi Devi. Not when I went first time I didn't know. So what happens, these two gopis are the expansions of Yoga Maya. So she's Anandi Ma and she's Bandi. Like here we'll see the picture of Bandi. Yeah, Anandi Ma and Bandi Ma. Okay. So what happens is, why we call her Bandi Devi? Because she was the one who helped to remove the shackles, the bandhan of Vasudev, so that he can take Krishna, little Krishna, and go to Gokul. And Anandi Ma is like how if you see a village atmosphere, not village atmosphere, even when we are little children, if you remember, like if there is one help needed in the house, all the neighboring ladies will come. If they want to make large scale pickles in summer or put some papads, so everybody will come. So Vrindavan's experience is like that. And this Bandi Devi, Anandi Devi always wanted to come and help Yashoda Maya in making butter, or they always used to come and help. And in fact, there are kunds also. Now, Kunda, Anandi Devi has a kund in this temple, Bandi Devi has her kund. So, but they're expansions of Yoga Maya. Always Anandi Ma is like she brings all the Anand, happiness aspect in Vrindavan. she wants like all the festivals and everything is she takes care of that. And Bhandima, she was the one who actually removed the bandhan of Vasudev. So we'll see these temples, Bhandima and Anandima. And then we are going to Dauji. So Dauji is a, what do I say? It's a big street, like you have to walk in that big street, and there are a lot of shops. There is people selling chai, tea, mishri, samosa, kachori, chips,
Lassi.
lassi, chips, toys, bangles. So many things, like when you're going towards your left side, like all the street is filled with of shops, and on the shops you'll see nice pictures of Baladev. Maybe we'll see a few. And then when we walk, we will see this Baladev temple, very nice courtyard. And there is up, like there is one, like it's in the center, and around on the upstairs, we can walk and have darshans. So many different small temples are there. It's very beautiful temple. And Baladev is like 6.5 feet tall. So maybe we can imagine 6 feet 2 in like 6.2, 6.3 maybe, but 6.5 he's tall, feet, 6.5 feet. So, and as we know, there are like devs in, like we always say, like Haridev on Govardhan, Govindadev in Vrindavan, Keshav Dev in Mathura, and Baladev in Gokul. And during Mughal attack also, this deity didn't leave. He never wanted to leave. So this is the original deity, which was carved by Vajrana. Like he got it carved by Vishwakarma. So as I said, this is the street, and all these are shops. And when we go to this place, like we always, like past 2 years, we are seeing every time in Vrindavan, there are no bells ringing, there are no car honking. They all just say Radhe Radhe. Oh, Radhe Radhe, just move like this. They'll just show with symbols. Only Radhe Radhe is the thing they say. But when we come here, we'll hear a lot of names of Baladev. They keep saying like, you want to say?
Daujika Bhaiya, Krishna Kanaiya.
Yeah, they keep saying that. So very nice atmosphere. So these are the shops. So many shops are there on one side. They sell mishri also. And this is the deity. So if you see Baladev is holding Varuni in one, like in one hand, he's holding the pot of Varuni. And this is the temple. Right hand is raised, and the left hand he holds a cup of Varuni. So this is the place where the deity is there. It's covered right now. Just wanted to show the full view. So what happens is, this is also called as Vidrum one. So Balaramji comes in the dream of one saint, and he says that I am in this place called Vidrum one. So please take me and install. And the Brahman, he will go and he will search, and he will find the two deities of Balaram and Revati. And he thought he will take them and install in Gokul. But what happened, 24 bullock carts, like 24 bulls were, and many people tried, but they were not able to take these deities from this place. So they established in this place, and it is said this is the original place where Dauji is actually born, birthplace of Dauji. And Nanda Maharaja's Goshala used to come all the way till here from Gokul. Now, if you go to Nanda Bhavan Gokul, Nanda Bhavan is somewhere and Ukal Bandhan is somewhere. So we will get confused, like how come it is possible? But if you ask the pujaris, they'll say those days when Krishna was there, it was widely spread. Gokul, like Nanda Bhavan and all the Goshala, it's all widely spread. And then so this Vidrum Dauji's place used to have very beautiful flowers and nice, like they used to make nice garlands using these flowers. So when Aurangzeb came to know about this temple, as usual, like he wanted a Danda Yatra, soldiers he sent. But every time the soldiers would go, there used to be a 5-kilometer distance. Like how Yashoda Maya, the two fingers short always. So how far they are going, always 5 kilometers distance will be there. Like recently when Vrajavasi was explaining this, first time I heard like that 5 kilometers distance was there. And then they understood that the deity is very powerful. So when they went and said to Aurangzeb, he said like, just leave 5 villages to this place. And then behind the temple, like close to the temple, we will see. So this is the temple. And we'll see Kshir Sagar Kund. You'll see the board also, like Kshir Sagar Kund. This was the place where the deities were found. And it is said that this Kshir Sagar Kund is the place where all the milk that Balaramji would drink was saved. The gopis would save it here. And Gokulnath Goswami got a dream that my deities are here, so just bring them out. So this is Kshira Sagar Kund. And then in this temple, see, when you go, you will see Balaram. But if you have to, Revati is opposite to him. But if you have to have her darshan, you have to go like little bit around and then see her through a small window. But inside, we'll see the video. If you see the video, you will see, I'll show like how Revati is exactly placed in front of him. So we all know Revati is the daughter of King Raivat. But what happened, His Holiness Loknath Goswami Maharaj writes in his Parikrama book this pastime, when Lord Vishnu ordered the demigods to take birth on earth because Krishna is coming on the request of Brahma. So Krishna said, Anantasesh, you go first, I'll come behind. So then Anantasesh went and entered the womb of Devaki. And Anantasesh went to so before that, Anantasesh went and merged in Sankarshan, and Sankarshan's wife was Nagalakshmi, and he said, Nagalakshmi, you go and merge in the body of Revati. So she asked, who is this Revati? Then he will explain the pastime. So Revati was the daughter of Chakshusha Manu, and her name was Jyotismati. So when she came to a marriageable age, she wanted to marry a husband like who is very strong, and then they were not finding an equal match, like they couldn't find that strong person. And then she was doing austerities. So when Brahma comes, actually Indra will come and disturb, so she'll curse Indra, and then Brahma will come, so she will curse Brahma also. And when she was about to curse Brahma, Brahma will say, no, say what you want. And she says her desire. So Brahma will say, after 27 Divya Yugas, your desire will be fulfilled. She will say, 27 Divya Yugas, how can I wait? So I'm going to curse you. This is not possible. How can I wait for 27 Divya Yugas? So Brahma will say, don't worry. Those 27 Divya Yugas will be done in your one lifetime. You don't have to take so many births. So that is why when we see the pastime of Revati, she was in Satya Yuga. But then when they go to King Raivat takes her to talk to Brahma regarding a nice alliance. And then by that time, Treta Yuga has got like 2 yugas have passed by, right? Then Brahma will say, oh, already Satya Yuga is gone, the next Yuga is gone. So now like Balaramji has appeared already. So why don't you just go? Like Dwapar Yuga has already come, just go and get her married to Balaramji. So that's why, see, in one lifetime that the yugas are gone, like 27 Divya Yugas, they're done. So that was the pastime of Revati, and very, very nice temple, very beautiful temple. Of course, when we go there, there'll be local people who will just take and they will make us do this, that, and ask for money in the last. But very nice place. And then after this, we will go. I'll share another. Go. I'll share another video. Yes, Tina Krishna, you can go. So from there, from Dauji, we'll go to Brahmanda Ghat. So Brahmanda Ghat we are going means we are going to Gokul. So this is Dauji, this is Kshira Sagar Kund, and we will be going to. I removed Dauji is done. I'm not showing videos yet. So we will first go to Chintaharan Ghat. So Chintaharan Ghat, Brahmanda Ghat, they're all like very close by. So Chintaharan Ghat. And this is the Shivling you will see there. And if you closely see this linga, see, you know how many lingas are engraved on this one linga? 1,111 lingas are engraved on this linga. And Chinta means like worry. So anxiety. What happened? Harana means like they remove the so they will remove the anxiety. So who removes? Shiva. Lord Shiva removes the anxiety of whom? He was removing the anxiety of Yashodamaya. Yashodamaya always used to get worried, like my Kana is always being attacked by demons. So she would go and pray here to protect her son. And it is said that if you pray to Chintaharan Mahadev, he will remove all the worries. And then we will go to Gokul. So before going to Gokul, like we know, Edu dynasty, there's a king, Devamida, and he had two wives. One is a Vaishya wife and one is a Kshatriya wife. So from Vaishya wife, he had a son called Parjanya. From Kshatriya wife, he had a son called Surasena. So Parjanya was very well known for his behavior, for his nature, all the Gopas. So Parjanya actually took care of Gokul Mahavan, and Surasena, he took care of Mathura. So, and Parjanya was loved by everybody. So then Parjanya had these 5 sons, Nanda, Upananda, Sunanda, Abhinanda, Nandana, like that. So 5 sons. And then, so Sumukha Gopa, he got his daughter Yashoda married to Nanda Maharaj. And so then there was a coronation of Upananda as the king, actually. When there was a coronation of Upananda, what happened? Upananda said, Nanda Maharaj will be the king, not me. So that shows the beauty of Gokul Mahavan, because these days we see so many brothers fight for property, not only brothers, siblings, anybody keep fighting like I want this. And then Upananda was being coronated, but he walks through and he says Nanda Maharaj will be, because he is in heart of all the people in Vrindavan. He's happy to see his brother as the king. So that happened. Nanda Maharaj became the king. And then one day Purnamasi, she comes from which place? Sandipani Muni's ashram, Avantipur. So she comes from Avantipur. So Purnamasi is none other than Yoga Maya, but she comes with her 2 grandchildren, Nandhimukhi and Madhumangal. She'll come and then she'll casually come like an old lady in a small, like a poor lady with a normal sari, and then she'll come with like she already has white hair. And so then what happens, she will come and she will talk to Nanda Maharaj, like, I see the atmosphere is so nice, but you are looking a little sad, so what is the problem? Then they express a desire that they don't have children, they don't have a son. So that is why then she will suggest, like, do Ekadashis properly, follow Ekadashis very nicely, then you will have a nice son. So she says that, and somehow they feel very connected, and that elderly lady is like, nobody's there, and she just have 2 grandchildren. So what they will do, they will build a cottage kutir for her, and they'll ask to stay there. And Yashoda Maya followed the Ekadashi Vrat, and she had Krishna. So we know the birth story of Krishna. We will not go into that. And when Krishna was born, we know Vasudev carried him, right? So like Bhandi Devi helped, shackles were removed, and he carried Krishna to Gokul. And in between there is Yamuna. So Yamuna had a desire to do Abhishek to Krishna. And Krishna always fulfills the desires of his devotees. So he has his legs little bit towards facing downwards, and downwards of the basket, and Yashoda Maya was touching, like coming on his legs and then doing the Abhishek. And because the waves of Yamuna were so high, Vasudev got little worried what will happen to the baby Krishna. So it's like, Koile, Koila, Koile. He was saying, like, he was asking for help. Is there anybody? Is there anybody? Is there anybody? So at this ghat is where he was asking, like, this is all Yamuna water. So that's why we'll have that ghat called Koile Ghat. So then we have Patita Pavan Kund also, where Yashoda Maya used to wash the clothes of Krishna. And then we'll see Nanda Bhavan, and maybe we'll stop because it's already time. So we'll see Nanda Bhavan. Nanda Bhavan is a very beautiful. So Nanda Bhavan is a very, very beautiful house, very beautiful building. If you go in Nanda Bhavan, on the roofs, there will be nice, like nice black ash on the roof. So they will say, yeah, Yashoda Maya was cooking a lot for Krishna, and all that smoke went on the roof of the walls, and that is still there. The blackish ash on the roof is still present even till date. And then, so actually when you're going to Nanda Bhavan, you will not directly go to Nanda Bhavan. You'll just walk. It's a nice path where you will see nice cows, and then they'll, for 10 rupees you can feed the cows. You'll keep walking. You'll see Putana's Putana's pastime on one side, and then you'll climb up. Then we'll see Nanda Maharaja's courtyard. We'll take a circle and come, we'll come, turn and come. Then we will see Nanda Bhavan. So see, this is Yashoda Maya churning butter. This is the temple, and this is also like Chaurasi Kamba has 84 pillars, and same like Chaurasi Kamba, if you like, everything is representing 10,000 species. It is said that 84 pillars, if you can circumambulate, you can get rid of all the species of life. Like you don't have to go through all those many births. But having said this, it's very difficult to circumambulate 84. The local Rajvasis say always you will miss one. Always you'll try to count, you'll always miss. You can miss more, but at least you will miss one. Like you cannot do the 84 pillars circumambulation. You cannot count them exactly as 84. And it is said that the yuga, every pillar, like there are 4 pillars which represents 4 yugas. Kali Yuga, Satyuga. So all the yugas will represent. And these are the deities. So you have these deities in two places. If you have seen, like if you give some donation and Mishri, they will open the curtain and they will see huge deities, maybe 6 feet. I would say very huge deities, very big deities. But in the main temple, they're not very huge. So we'll see this. Balaram, Yashoda, Krishna, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and baby Krishna. And then you can see these pictures. Like, okay, I think we will stop here at Nanda Bhavan because it's time 9:05. We will see on Monday.
I think you write a book on this with photo. You're telling so nicely. You may write a book, Mataji, please. My request. Everything you give good photos.
No, Prabhuji. So we will see nice videos. We are missing, and we will complete this and Raval Monday, last day of Kartik. Thank you all so much.
Prabhupada will bless you. If you write a book, Prabhupada will bless you. Please write. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
ब्रजमंडल परिक्रमा की जय।
पद्म साखी माता की
जय।
Thank you so much for your service, Mataji.
I'll pray for everybody in Mayapur.